Now, joining us in the studio are a father and daughter duo, Joanne and Dr. Phil Anderton, who are not only restoring vision to remote Australian communities, but also writing books to encourage children to feel comfortable wearing glasses. Now, Joanne, you're obviously a writer.
Yes.
I just want to ask you about this book. Like, I absolutely love the front cover. I think it's such a cool, graphic.
Gorgeous,
it is gorgeous. Now, what inspired you to write the book?
Well, my dad. He would come back from his trips flying his little plane that he built himself.
Wow.
I know, right? He would go out to remote communities in the outback and test people's eyesight. And he would come back and tell stories. And I don't know if it's because I'm a writer and we're a little bit strange sometimes, but I immediately thought, oh, that would make such a good kids' book. And so I had the opportunity to go out with him on an adventure to a little place called Winaring, which is out in northwest New South Wales. And I enjoyed the adventure itself, you know, the flying in the little red plane. It's a two-seater. You're close to the elements out there. But I also met some amazing people in the town. And, you know, I wear glasses or contact lenses, and I have my whole life. And it occurred to me, meeting these people, that I take this for granted. I can go down the road and get glasses, but these people need to wait twice a year for someone like Dad to turn up and provide a service that we take for granted. Mm-hmm. So I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to tell this story.
Yeah, absolutely. And Phil, so these trips that you take, is this a volunteer sort of thing that you do, or how did it start? How did you get into it?
Well, I'm semi-retired. Mary and my wife sometimes argues I'm more semi than retired. So. I was asked by the Brian Holden Vision Institute, which through the Rural Doctors Network in New South Wales, they fund all the outreach services that go to outback and rural places. Mm-hmm. So I was asked by him whether I'd be interested in being involved in doing clinics with remote communities and also Aboriginal communities. So both of these clinics are specifically for Aboriginal communities, one in Winaring and the other in Tibooburra. And my schedule is I go out there twice a year. It's very important for everyone, particularly over the age of 40 or 50, to have regular eye examinations, because we now know there are 5 conditions which cause most of the common conditions which cause most of the vision loss. Mm. And of those conditions, 94% are treatable.
94%?
Wow.
94%. So if you pick them up early, you can stop the blindness.
So how often is regular? Do we go, how often?
Before the age of 6, I can go by Medicare. Medicare funds a rebate for examinations before the age of 65 once every 3 years,
right,
and after 65 once every year, and that's, you know, a reasonable approach. Except if ever there's any change in vision or change in the eye or deep pain in the eye, you should always see someone as an emergency, because it can indicate something going wrong quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to change tack a little bit, because I read the book and that story just captured my imagination, because coming from Singapore, I don't really know what it's like to be living in the Australian bush. Mm. What is it like to fly in and be there with the community?
Oh, it's wonderful. There is a culture there which is totally different from urban Australia.
I can imagine, yeah.
An air of resilience and flexibility and ability to deal with things. For example, in Winaring, there is no mobile phone service. There is a radio phone which is shared by all the people in town. So one of the things which entertains the locals is to see when people from the city call in and get out to refuel their cars, and then they go, this thing that they rely on for their whole life, something doesn't work. Wow. And all the locals just have a little chuckle, you know.
There's such a discrepancy, I think, between the facilities we have in Sydney or Sydney, Australia, we're very lucky to live here, and then all these remote communities. And I guess my question is sort of, is this something you tried to bring out in the book? Like, is that sort of the purpose of this book in general?
Yeah, well, the main purpose, I think, of any book, but kids' books in particular, is to capture the imagination. I think as humans, we're really wired for story. We learn, we experience life through stories. But underneath that, and I think that's still really important, but underneath that, I think there is a message about the difference between living in the country and living in the city and having access to, I mean, I keep saying it, but I really felt it, things that I take for granted. Like, when I went with Dad, we were made so welcome. We were fed, my goodness, you wouldn't imagine the food that we were given. And everyone came and everyone had a chat, and we'd all meet at the pub, and it was wonderful. But it was also fascinating because, you know, there was this tiny little medical centre with one room. And so Dad's setting up all his, like, the glasses, the frames that people can choose from on the bed in the medical centre because there's nowhere else to do it. And, you know, sitting in these tiny rooms with this one nurse. Are they nurses there?
They are nurses, and they're wonderful women. The remote nurses, many of whom are there on their own, or they might be there swapping every week or two with another remote nurse, and they're the only health professional in town.
Wow.
So if there is a car accident, or if somebody has a heart attack, or
can't deal
you know,
with it.
there are traumas on the farm, they're there to deal with it. And of all the women I've met in my life, they're not saying they're the best, but I was totally knocked over when I finally realised the level of responsibility
And the resilience.
and the level of resilience
yeah.
required from remote nurses. They are amazing women. And not all women. The ones who are women are amazing women, and the ones who are men. The other organisation that's important is the Royal Flying Doctor Service.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely,
So, for example, if I'm there and I see a case which needs immediate attention from an eye specialist, I'll say to the nurse, this person is an emergency. You need to get them to the eye hospital or an eye specialist in Adelaide. If I'm in, Adelaide's closer than Sydney. So,
One thing I picked up with the book, and it's something that my children faced when they were younger, they had to wear glasses for a short time, was the bullying. And that, for me, that would sort of take that stigma away because they can see how important it is.
Yes.
And how hard you know, for the city kids, it's hard to get glasses. And sorry, for the city kids, it's easy to get glasses. For the guys in the remote areas, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are so many people around the world who are blind because they don't have access to glasses. And so that was a part of it as well. Like, you know, I wear them, I'm blind without them, but we are so lucky. You know, we are so lucky to
You
have
just drive
them.
down the road.
So is it enough to visit them twice a year? Like, is that?
it's better than no one visiting at all. But there's, apart from myself, there are also general practitioners who fly in with the Royal Flying Doctor Service once a year. And rural GPs are really good with, not saying that city GPs aren't, but being a rural practitioner of any kind, you just need to have a broad spectrum of professional activity. So
Absolutely.
the rural nurse is fantastic with eyes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been so awesome to hear this story, and one that's not really told very often, so thank you so much. If you'd like to check out more of today's episode, please hit us up on our social media, and thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a good week, and just remember there's always a place for you at the table. Bye.